Well, welcome back to the shed, and got quite a rare bird here today. It's a hacker radio, but as far as I know, they only ever made this particular model of radio recorder. Don't think there were any others. I believe there were music centres that had a cassette deck, but no portables like this apart from this model. And you can see up there, it's quite a hoity-toity thing, this. It says by royal appointment, etc. up there. And you've got your telescopic aerial. Pointers you can slide to point out the various different stations that you might like. AFC control even for FM, and then medium and long wave. Radio, microphone or cassette switch here. Oscillator, showing that we've got the AC bias recording system, and believe it or not, for a mono, unusually, this even has normal and chrome tape capability, as well as separate treble, bass and volume off-on control. This is the RPC1 cassette sovereign, you can see there. Now, I've had this for a number of years, but the cassette deck just recently stopped working. And because it wouldn't go at all, well, you naturally assume that it's a belt gone, don't you? Oh no, it couldn't be that simple, could it? This is a strange old beast, this set. If they'd had cassettes, shall we say, 20 years earlier, in the mid-40s, this is what they might have made a radio recorder like in the 50s. Because it's all made out of metal, rather handsome wood sides, and even most of the casing, again, made of metal and wood. A whacking great big 8x5 ELAC elliptical speaker. It even has the old-fashioned type of enclosed magnet that you used to see on valve sets, just as if it was sort of grudgingly giving acceptance to the fact that this is a transistorized set. I don't think it's seen a lot of use. You've got quite a few useful things on the back. External aerial, the inevitable 5-pin DIN plug for in and out for Europe, of course, microphone and extension loudspeaker. Oh, it says there, do not connect to mains with back cover removed. Oh, how awful. But I found, eventually, that it was the motor down there that had packed up. It had seized up. Now, this was made to be repaired, unlike many of today's offerings, and offerings of yesterday come to that. Because as you can see, this was made 3rd December 1976, by which time many of the big companies were already producing some pretty ghastly plasticky things. I'm afraid my personal favourite, Philips, was among them. The mechanism on their N2208 cassette recorder, for example, was a truly horrible affair, and nearly all made of plastic. The pinch holder was too narrow, and when you press play, or play a record, the strain on the mechanism was such that it actually pushed everything out of true very slightly, and it ate the tape. And there was nothing you could do. That was just the way the thing was. Honestly, I don't know. But this thing hasn't even got a built-in battery compartment. So if you did leave your batteries in there and they went funny, all you did, nip down to Tandy's or the radio shop, get another one of these, connect it to that, and away you go again. Beautiful job. Now, this has needed quite a lot of work doing. This is what's left of the motor. A very early form of electronic control motor. This is. The armature looks like a Phillips with the radial commutator, and you may or may not be able to see that there's scoring on the commutator. So I haven't bothered trying to repair this, because if the commutator is scored, the contact isn't perfect and the motor won't run at a true speed. But you've got a magnetic outer shield case at the back to, says here, made 7th November 1975, so it took quite a while to be put into this set, didn't it? But the real problem was this tiny little olive here, this sintered bronze thing. Instead of the shaft on this end spinning merrily and freely inside that, the whole affair was spinning inside the actual magnet assembly and inner casing for the motor. So once it was out, there was no way to put it back in. You could see it would be a pig of a job to put that back. So I'm afraid all that has got to go in Vilniuswagen, as I say in Holland, in the dust cart to the rest of us. You can see how old a design this was, a little transistor here with its little tiny metal can. It isn't even a sort of plastic looking thing. But other thing to do while about it was to replace the playhead, which was in a bit of a state. As Vintage Sounds 1992 would say, it has a runway through it, so it wouldn't pick up properly. Now, when you're changing these heads on this sort of thing, do be careful to try and get one of the right impedance, because if it's not got enough, it won't put out enough signal, and if it's too much, it will blow the thing's ears off and may well sound distorted through the amplifier. Other things to bear in mind is this, that some heads are asymmetrical. The actual pickup is to one side or the other on the bracket, and the mechanism made accordingly. So yeah, there's a few little things to keep in mind there. I've even got the battery check light to work again. It was very, very dim. I know the feeling, being something of a dim bulb myself. But see what it is it sounds like. It has got a very nice warm sound, actually, this old thing. And so there you are. Very nice bassy sound. You can tell that the casing is partly made of wood. Well, mostly made of wood, actually. And seems faintly appropriate to play that music on it from all those years ago. I don't doubt there are those of us old farts like me who remember that on the television at school before the various educational program started. Of course, nowadays they just say in it and hope for the best. So all we've got to do now, put the battery holder back in, put the back on, and then it's off we go again for a few more years, hopefully. But there aren't very many of these things left. Putting it into Google, there are a few pictures. I think there's even somebody else on here that's got one. But they're by no means the norm. Shame, really, because imagine now if we'd had Hacker CD radios. You know, they'd have been expensive, yes, but they'd have been like the Coomba ones, wouldn't they? Absolutely bomb-proof. Oh well, too late. Hacker went into administration, well, I don't know when it was, donkey's years ago. But we still have Roberts, well, sort of. See you soon.